The story of the United Food and Commercial Workers Locals 175 and 633 is one of solidarity, creativity, and sheer determination. Overcoming countless odds, our union has grown from a small group of cashiers, meat cutters, and food handlers to one of the largest local unions in Canada, with members in virtually every sector of the private industry.
Really, I was working with A&P when they were starting to organize them back in, I guess it was in 65, somewhere around there, 66. And a couple of guys knocked on my door, and one was Derek Morrissey, and he wanted to know if I was interested in joining the union. I told him I'd like to think about it, and as a result of that, that's where it all started.
My earliest dealings with 175 was as I was working as a produce manager in Steinberg's in London. Came back from vacation one summer in it was the summer of 61, I believe, and some of the guys had joined the union.
When I was 17 years old, I started to work in Dominion stores, and 3 years and 1 day later, I went to work for the Retail Clerks Union, Local 206, as the full-time secretary-treasurer.
I was an employee of Loblaw Supermarket for about 12 years. Then in 1967, I was approached if I wanted to become a business agent for the local union 175.
Gee, my beginnings 175 started in 1976, I guess, when I became a member down in London. And since 76 is, I guess, the moments of importance to me were in 1982 when I was elected to the executive board of Local 175 as a trustee. It was, back then it was part of the Ontario Retail Council.
I first became involved with the Retail Clerks Union prior to the merger between the Retail Clerks and the Amalgamated Meat Cutters in 1979. I was working at Dominion stores in Waterloo, Ontario as a food clerk.
I was working at Miracle Food Mart in Welland, and Dennis Sexton and Bill Falls came into the store, and they were signing us up to join the union.
This union started out as the Amalgamated Meat Cutters and Butcher Workers of North America, Local 633. There was a time that we would go into a supermarket and we just organized the meat cutter because we had the charter by the Labor Relations Board. We were the only local union in Canada that we were chartered to organize only the meat cutters if we want to. And the decision was made that we're going to organize Steinberg.
Because I was sort of outspoken, once the company heard about it, they thought I had to be the ringleader. So they began to deal with me as though I was the ringleader. And so I thought, well, I wasn't at all opposed to it because we were working enormous hours for salary. And so I contacted the union. They came to see me. I signed a card, and within a very short period of time, I was working on my days off and weekends, helping them complete the organizing in London. The human resources manager came to me after the vote, and he said, "I want you," before the vote was counted, he said, "I want you to know, however this turns out, you have a future with the company." That was like November. And in January, they fired me. I'd been told I'd get fired. Bill Falls, the international rep of the union, had said, "You can't do what you're doing and survive."
We organized Steinberg right across the province, and we got the province-wide collective bargaining for them, and therefore we became the big boys in the retail industry. Now, at this time, we were still known as the Amalgamated Meat Cutters and Butcher Workers of North America, 633 and 175. Because 175 with the clerk, you wanted to retain the craft local. So we retained the 633 and we got another charter for the Loc 175.
Back in those days, part-time employees weren't represented by the union. Nowhere in the province of Ontario. And Local 206 got the first certification for part-time workers in the Loblaws in Guelph in 2 stores. All of a sudden, instantly, everybody else's part-time workers were organized because they gave them to the unions that represented the full-time. So you can imagine today what the effect would be if you had only the full-time employees. There would be very little bargaining power because the companies could just flood the store with part-time and diminish the full-time into next to zero.